Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk HR. We're up to episode number 4. If you are keeping score, and as always, I am your host, Rick Jenkins. As usual, today, I am joined by this guy, Herb Dew, CEO, founder, HTI, Human Technologies Incorporated. Herb, welcome back.
Thanks, Rick. Good to be here.
It is good to have you here. It's a little chilly outside when we're filming this, so,
Like we're Mr. Rogers out there.
thank you. That's what I was going for. I was going for Mr. Rogers. Okay. Let's jump right into it. A month or so ago, Herb, we were recording an episode and we had a lot of fun. We did this thing where I gave you 2 minutes to talk about as many HR buzzwords as you could respond to. That was a lot of fun. We're going to do something different this time. This time, we're going to talk about 10 HR trending topics,
Okay.
and I'm going to give you 10 minutes. And because I am such a great mathematician, I know that 10 minutes and 10 topics, that's an average of 1 minute per topic, right? I'm really good at that. So you can go, however you want to do it, but let's try and finish. And 10
1 minute per topic.
Right. Be brief, but not terribly brief, but you just go at a comfortable pace. We're going to set a clock and we're going to count it down. Okay. 10 topics, 10 minutes.
All right.
Herb Dew, sir, are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
Topic number 1, health insurance. Do you think the rising cost of healthcare is forcing companies to rethink their benefit structure?
I do, although I don't think it's in the traditional sense. I think people are always going to have health insurance covering their employees. I think what you're seeing, though, is companies beginning to have more high deductible plans to reduce the cost on the individuals so that a younger employee who may have the ability to go ahead and not see the doctor all year can have a high deductible and have a lower premium. And you're seeing that and more build outs of those kinds of plans. So that's the main difference. But I think for the foreseeable future, you're going to have health insurance plans that companies have. Not much change to those.
I hope so. Labor availability, let's move on to that. Do you see automation or flexible work models as realistic solutions to workforce gaps?
I actually do. I think it's in some sectors it's already occurring. In some sectors it's going to be longer to get there. But I think you're going to see already. You're seeing the advent of 410s where people work 4 days a week versus 5. You're seeing people do gig work at traditional jobs. So yeah, I think you're going to continue. And I think the advent of AI is going to change jobs so much that people can work differently, which is going to give them more flexibility as well.
Is there an industry more than another that might fit into that?
I think service industries are more quickly able to go ahead and sort of shift than, say, manufacturing or hospitality, that sort of thing.
Got it. Let's talk about agentic recruiting. Am I saying that correctly?
You are.
I had never heard of this before, so I guess explain what the heck that is.
So agentic recruiting is really where you're looking at where does AI begin to take over some functions that we're traditionally used to doing in recruiting. So it may be posting to job boards and then screening people that come off of a job board down to a pool of 10 or 15 people, or it may be getting the paperwork done that normally you have to do manually as an HR group. So it's really a broad term for the application of AI on simplifying HR-related functions as it has to do with recruiting.
Another AI deal.
Yes.
Skills-based hiring. Why are more employers shifting from degree requirements to skills requirements?
First of all, I love this trend because I think a degree in and of itself doesn't make you good at a job. Now, I think particularly where we're seeing the workforce so shrunk and unemployment rate so low right now, and particularly where we see a skills gap for more highly skilled people, I think it's just really, really important if somebody has the skill, regardless of whether they have the degree, that a company go ahead and look at doing that. And I think you're going to begin to see that more in jobs that we traditionally don't see some of that scope creep. So you may begin to see bookkeepers become accountants. You may see manufacturing technicians become engineers. And by the way, it used to be that way in the old days. It's shifted to be degree intensive.
That's right.
I think it's shifting back to being, skills-based intensive.
That reminds me of, the scenarios that we have with people who want to go into manufacturing jobs. They don't need a 4-year degree, always a 2-year degree, a certificate of some sort. It's the same type of philosophy.
Yep.
The degree is not always required.
Yeah.
Gig work and flex workers. Are companies viewing flexible or contract workers as a long-term workforce strategy?
Yeah, there's some pretty cool models out there. I've been following a company out in Utah that made the decision on their third shift to to simply use fractional weekly workers for an entire shift for a manufacturing facility, and it's been very, very successful. Their turnover is lower. Their call out rate is much lower because people are able to work 2 or 3 days a week versus the traditional 5 days a week. So I just think you're going to see gig, and gig is a term really for non-traditional. So I think you're going to see more non-traditional kinds of approaches to working, and I think you're going to see it in more skilled areas, and you're going to see it move into manufacturing. And by the way, it's already being done in some other industries as it is. I mean, the tech space has been doing sort of fractional work now for a few years. So,
But fractional workers, they're not going to get the same type of benefits, obviously,
Right.
That a full-time permanent type of worker will get, but you still think that's going to drive it.
I do, particularly for secondary incomes, because you've got to work about 30 hours a week to be benefits eligible, right? So if you're benefits concerned, then you're going to work largely a full-time job. But I would say for secondary incomes, and I think about 65% of Americans are a two-income family, as I recall. So, I mean, there's a lot of that out there.
Employer value proposition, or as they call it, EVP, for those unfamiliar, what exactly is it and why does it matter?
It is where you as a company, and we do a lot of consulting around this. How do you make yourself set apart from all the other employers competing for a shrinking workforce? And so what's your value proposition that you bring? And then how's that, like this generation right now really cares about, for example, an organization's commitment to the environment or commitment to whatever their mission might be. So your value proposition is, how do you make a difference, and is it something that is then going to help you with attraction and retention of employees?
Let's go to wage rates, and I think this is a big one these days. I mean, economy, a little bit of an issue for a lot of us, uncertainties and that kind of thing. There's been a major headline because pay increases are often not keeping up with cost of living. These days, they're not coming as fast as some employees would like, right? And so, how are employers managing the balance between competitive wages, making sure you pay your people fairly, but also making sure that you're cutting costs and keeping your company in a good spot?
I mean, we deal with this at HDI as well. So what's interesting, if you look at the data, is, in 2020, 21, and 22, inflation far outpaced the cost of living adjustments that were in place. But over the last 4 years, actually, the wage rates have risen faster than inflation. So there's been a catch up to some degree. Right. But I don't think we ever caught up really to the loss that people felt. So that's what they're still thinking about. Now, inflation is peaking up a little bit, so we're going to have to be concerned about that. I just think a company has to go ahead and communicate effectively. It sort of comes back to that all the time on wages. Do you know, every time we do an employee opinion survey, which we do through our workplace strategies group, people always have complaints about their compensation. So you're never going to win that battle because everybody wants to make more, because that's what we do, is work for a living. But I think you just try to stay pace as best you can. And I think try to move away from being just a cost of living adjustment compensation structure to a performance-based compensation structure.
Right.
So you take some of the attention off of, that figure.
Giving people a bigger upside, but you got to.
Yeah, you want your high performers make more, and your lower performers you want to manage out,
Right.
or certainly not have them make as much as the higher performers, and get away from cost of living as a method for payment anyway.
We talked about health insurance a little bit ago. Let's kind of stay there, but talk about healthcare benefits. What is it besides insurance from a healthcare related perspective that employees are looking for these days?
Well, I mean, I think there needs to be improvements to dental. I mean, I think most dental programs that companies have are pretty weak. So I think that's an area that you can improve on. I think eye care is typically a program that's pretty weak. It's usually a discount program, and you may see strengthening in some of those areas. It's hard to strengthen in the traditional health insurance area just because it's so costly already. Anything you add is just going to end up affecting your premium in a negative way. Listen, though, wellness programs, and I can speak within HTI, our wellness program has substantially helped us keep our premiums neutral over the last 3 or 4 years. So I think companies really investing and not being afraid to put some money into wellness programs is a good way to go ahead and enhance their benefits program.
Let's talk about employee upskilling. Man, has upskilling become more necessary than ever?
I mean, You know, it's funny. I was in Toronto at a conference, and I was watching. It was a recruiting conference, and they were demonstrating AI's impact on recruiting. And I walked away from that realizing that we have to get our entire team equipped with the latest tools and educate them on how to use the latest tools, or we're going to fall behind within our sector, within our industry. So I just think right now upskilling, and you know, that term, by the way, has been thrown around for 20 years, but I think right now it's super important that you upskill to be competitive as a company, not just to go ahead and provide a benefit to your employees of having them have advanced skills, which is another benefit of upskilling. But I think upskilling isn't going to be something we do once every 5 years. I think it's going to be something you have to focus on every year.
Last topic, Herb, and it's leadership development. What are companies looking for today? Times have changed. You got new folks coming on, new generation, right?
Right.
What are they looking for today in terms of leadership qualities?
Connectiveness, communication, I think emotion. So I think the days of having a leader just have a team of 10 people and they just do, you know, a weekly meeting. They don't do check-ins. I think this generation coming out wants to know that they have a voice in things maybe that are above their level, but they feel like they can communicate about that. So I would say
That's the bell, but keep going.
okay. I would say being able to go ahead and share on strategy that they might have within their group. I would say having regular check-ins personally, knowing who their family is, knowing what their aspirations are, all that stuff. I think leaders have to be more connected with their employees about.
Did you plan that? I mean, we're talking 10 minutes.
That was actually pretty good.
15,
I
20
had no idea what
seconds,
time
man.
it was.
Excellent. Good job, folks. That is Herb Dew, CEO, founder, HTI Human Technologies Incorporated. That was 10 topics in 10 minutes. A lot of fun. We'll see you the next time on Let's Talk HR.